Thank you for having us today. We appreciate you guys inviting us in. How many of you guys out here actually use the chainsaw? Yeah, I saw you back there with the husky hat on. You're going to be answering all the questions today? Yeah, I hear you. My name is Frank D'Amico. I'm the safety director at Carolina Tree Care. This is Lonnie Payton. He's our field safety supervisor, AKA the enforcer, I like to call him. He's the man out there making sure that our guys are staying safe. How many of you guys have seen in the news recently, anybody see the tree work that was recently injured by his chainsaw? Anybody seen that? This happened on Monday. I kind of felt like this would be a good way to kick off today's class. This happened this week. This guy was a chainsaw, the title was Chainsaw Victim called Lucky and Blessed. Machine gets impaled in the neck after worker felling tree just missed carotid artery. Alright, he was cutting down a stub, saw kicked back, hit his shoulder blade and went to his neck. Thankfully, his crewmates were able to kind of maintain the injury and keep the blade in and take the saw loose before the EMS got there. And this individual was extremely lucky. I think they said he got like 30 stitches or staples and was going to be released in a day or two. But he was within, less than half an inch of probably killing himself. I feel like that's a good way to start, just to reiterate the importance of respecting the chainsaw and how dangerous of a tool it can be. We've had employees in the past that have suffered some pretty traumatic injuries. We care about our people and our employees. We hate to deal with that, and it's obviously a costly thing for us as well. I kind of wanted to start off by just showing you guys a brief video of Husqvarna. They're our supplier of our saws. The video is just a quick overview of the safety features of the chainsaw, and then we'll have a little quiz and go over some other things for you guys. See if I get this to play. Do you know if there's sound?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it okay?
Oh, I was. No, it didn't. Well, we could do it without the video. So. Sorry. QuickTime's not available. All right. Well, anyways, we'll do without the videos. We can do it just as well. I want to show you guys some other alternatives to using the chainsaw. If you're not going to be doing a lot of cutting, you've got a few limbs that need removed. If you've got a limb that's maybe about the size of your wrist or no bigger than your forearm, Silky makes a smaller handsaw that you'd be surprised on what you could do with this. All right, we actually, a lot of our tree men that will do some climbing won't even bring the chainsaw up with them. So they'll get the whole job done with something like handsaw, okay? And this allows you to, make cuts one-handed and control the limb, so you can redirect it. A lot of chainsaw injuries that occur to the hand or the wrist or forearm area from guys one-handed chainsaw, right? All right, we all know there's no such thing as a one-handed chainsaw, right? Even a top-handled chainsaw is meant to be operated with two hands.
That's right.
Right, Lonnie?
And this saw here, actually, I use this for when I climb and cut stuff bigger than my arm. They cut extremely fast. It does cut both directions, so that's a good thing. But the thing is, no kickback, right? Kickback, who in here can stop kickback? Raise your hand. I'm glad nobody raised your hand because you ain't going to stop. Okay, a chainsaw is the most dangerous tool you will go buy. So hey, use this. We got them on all of our trucks.
That was something else I forgot to point out. I'll go back to this first slide. There is, actually that's not in here, but the Census Bureau reports that on average, 36,000 people a year are seen in the emergency room for chainsaw cuts. All right, so this is no joke, just respect it. You want to go over this? Hold it up.
The safety features of the saw. Most people, I'm going to venture to say, most people do not even check the saw before they operate. Of course, in the business we're in, we do. I better than get rid of it. Okay? And just to round it all up, we can end the class now, and I can say, don't run a chainsaw. Just call Carolina Tree Care. We'll take care of all your business. That'll work. On the bar, as you see the orange part, the kickback zone, that is a no zone. Don't cut it, okay? A lot of people's heard about bore cuts and everything else. There is a technique to that. With an hourglass and no trees in here, you know, it's hard to show that. Okay? That's a no zone. Your chain brake, where's that from? That's your chain brake. Make sure that works. Okay, throttle interlock. These are the 5 safety features that we quiz our men on. What about your chain kicks?
See it right there.
Another one that's on the saw is a right hand guard. Notice it didn't say left hand guard, it said right hand guard. That's the reason the handle comes out on the right hand of the side of the saw further. There's one more that we're missing somewhere. And that's called a spark arrestor. Can somebody tell me where it is? Huh?
Gave it away.
Where is it on the saw?
The muffler.
It's on the muffler. That is one that will cause fire. I promise you, if you run a saw at night, sparks do fly, come out of that saw, okay? It's not a toy, it's nothing to play with. We don't need to be in a broom straw field without the proper safety features of the saw. Okay? Here's your safety feature. We just went over chain brake, interlock, right hand guard, chain kicks, spark arrestor. Everybody got them drilled in? You gonna go home and check your saws? Probably not. I would. Kickback. Chainsaw kickback occurs 7 1/2 times faster than what any of us can react. Okay? It's not, that's simple. We're not going to stop it, right? Okay? Go to the next slide.
Yeah.
Frank?
Okay, just some general tips to help you guys avoid kickback. Obviously, Lonnie probably stated the most important one. Avoid using the top tip of the bar, okay? Use proper working techniques. It's important positioning, making sure that if you can position the wood between yourself and the saw so if it does have any kickback, you have an extra barrier there. That's a good tip. Use the proper grip. You guys know how to properly grip the chainsaw? How many guys run the chainsaw with the thumb over the top handle like this? It's not good because the saw kicks back, you break your thumb, it's a lot harder to control it. You want to wrap the thumb around, okay, so have a good tight grip. Avoid unsafe and off-balance working positions. Not use the saw above shoulder height. The individual I showed you, the first picture, he had it right at his neck level. And if he's blocking down a tree, he may have not had, many other choices of where to position the saw. But you want to, at all costs, not use above shoulder height. Cut at a high speed. Saw runs best at high speed. It's meant to be used at a high speed, right? Keep working pieces secure. Make sure that your wood is secure when you are cutting it up. And make sure the working area is free of obstructions. That's huge. And be alert. Just be aware of where the tip of your bar is. Make sure you got a sharp chain. That was something that we did notice at our first trains. A lot of guys' chains were kind of in some rough shape. A dull chainsaw is going to be way more difficult to use, okay? And we'll talk a little bit about filing a little bit later. It is kind of a technique that's learned, but they have tools out there that can help you all sharpen the saw appropriately, okay? So we already talked about this. There's no such thing as a left-handed chainsaw. Anybody here left-handed? You are? Do you run a chainsaw much? You have a tendency to want to run left-handed? Yeah. It's a hard thing for a lot of guys to break. I have heard from people before that you can get a custom-made chainsaw that actually is left-handed. I've heard of that, but I haven't seen one yet. Does everybody know how to properly start the chainsaw? That's one, yeah. Between the legs, you said? Yeah. Hold up here, just let her rip. No drop starting. That's the main thing. We don't drop start the chainsaw. Drop start this chainsaw is obviously dangerous for several reasons. It allows the bar to come near your feet, right? But the worst part is the impact it has on your shoulder after several years. That's right. This saw weighs, I don't know what this one weighs, 15 pounds. This constant motion of dropping the saw is going to wear your shoulder out, especially after several years. It's kind of like earplugs. You're not going to notice the effect of not wearing your earplugs today. Tomorrow, it's going to take several years, right? So the proper way to start the chainsaw, we allow our employees to do the leg lock, lock it between your legs, keep your left hand on the bar and use your right hand to pull. Okay, that way when you get your saw fired up, you don't have to switch hands, bend over here. The less maneuvering the saw, you're doing the better, right? And the other one is on the ground. Put your foot in the handle, hold it down, and pull it, okay? That way the saw stays braced at all times, okay? You guys all start your saw that way? Okay, good. All right, it's an easy group here. What's the safe operating distance for running the chainsaw around other people's? Anybody know? We got a t-shirt to give away for this answer. 30 feet? Damn, I like that answer.
Frank, you got, Frank,
15
you
feet?
had 10 feet, right?
10 feet, who said 10 feet? All right, you get the shirt, I'll get you one. 10 feet. We do have 10 feet.
Five-step felon plan. How many here fell trees on the weekend? Do you do it at work? You fell trees. There's a five-step felon plan. What's number one? Height and hazard, right? Number two, the lane and lay. Now your notch and hinge, what notch do we use to fell a tree? Somebody tell me.
70.
Open face? 70-20, 90-degree notch, right? Did y'all know that chainsaw's designed for that already? It is. A lot of people does not know that. See where his left hand is? That's 70 degrees.
How to cut?
Now flip it to your bottom cut. There's 20. The chainsaw's already designed. It's got sights on it. Where's the sights at?
That black line is felling sights.
Goes all the way around.
See, you learned something? Yeah. I like it.
That saw is already designed to do the work for you. All you got to do is hold it, right?
And on some saws, the line is in black, which is kind of that raised edge. That's still the felling sights.
Yeah, it goes all the way
All the way
around.
across, yeah. All the way across, yep.
So when we make our notch and our hinge, can somebody tell me what the hinge should be? What's the thickness of it? 10%, right? 10% of your holding wood. That's what it should be.
10% of the tree's
If
diameter.
you got a great big tree, you need 10%. How deep should your notch be? 25%. Okay? You don't want one real deep. You don't want to go into all the way into the heart of the tree. You don't want to notch half the tree out. You just lost control. Okay? Your back cut. How far do you step your back cut up? You don't. Okay? In the old school, we stepped it up 1.5 to 2 inches. Do you know why they done that? Because in old ways, they used a crosscut saw. They stepped it up to keep the stump from kicking back on top of it. That's why they done that. 45s is out. We don't use 45s anymore. Okay? You cut flush with the bottom apex of your notch. Okay? And then your escape route. How important is an escape route? We talked about it with flagging. That's a car coming at you on 60 mile an hour. Do you want a big tree coming at you as well? Escape routes are very important. We've had a guy get injured this year, actually on our residential side, small tree. He said, I got this, y'all go hook up the chipper. He cut a small tree, what, 8 inches in diameter maybe? It kicked off the stump. He severed his hands, he kicked off the stump, 8 feet, broke the top of his foot. You know, he's got a new baby, he spent time at home. That ain't good. We don't need to lose revenue, money for our families, plus we don't need to lose our health. Okay? So it is very important to have that escape route and use it. All right? Here's your holding wood. Here's your notch. Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory. How many here is good at filling a tree? You can make it go right where you want it to go. If you use this, I remember back when I first learned, I said, okay, I got a 50-foot area. I dropped that tree. When the tree fell, I got 50 feet, but it fell 10 feet from a big swing set. I'd go, well, that's close. But it worked good. And I said, I'm good. I'm stomping the ground. You give me a 100-foot area. Yeah, that's pretty good. But the good thing is, this one, you can, and I will confess, you can control that tree from when it's standing all the way to the ground. Okay? You have full control of it. It does work a lot better. I hope everybody here starts to use this, because the saw is designed, like we showed you, it's designed to do that. Use this and you'll love it.
In some of our training classes, I forgot to bring them, but I usually have a toothpick. I'll hand out to somebody a toothpick and say, break it. You can take it, break it, and I'll give you a toothpick again and say, pull it apart. You can't pull a toothpick apart, can you, right? You can never pull it apart. That's kind of the difference with open face notch. The fibers in the tree run up and down. And if you use an open face notch, those fibers are trying to be pulled apart, right? Not snapping. 45, when that hinge closes, that tree goes anywhere it wants, right? So this will allow you to control the tree from the start of the fall to the ground. And if you've done it right, the tree will still be on the stump when it hits the ground. And you'll see the hinge glue, because those fibers are pulling, not breaking. It's amazing how strong it is. So the open face notch, the total angle is ideally 90, but you want it to be at least 70. All right. And some guy once said he did a 45 and a 45. All right, that's cool. What's 45 and 45? That's 90, right? So that works for me too. Top cut is always angled downward at 70, and as we said, if you hold the saw the correct way, it's automatically going to give you that 70 degrees. Bottom cut is angled upward at 20 degrees, and again, holding the saw the correct of the handle will give you that 20 degrees. All right, your back cut is horizontal. It's the same height at the corner of the notch, so where the apex comes together with your top and bottom cut, you want to be pretty much level with that, okay? And the depth is a quarter to a third of the tree diameter, which is on average. So I figured I'd throw this in there. This is one of our ex-employees on a danger tree crew who was going around felling trees. Okay, he was the man. He said he was one of our best tree fellers. Does that look like a good notch to you all? You see any hinge wood there? I don't think that little sliver is going to hold that tree, right? That was the end result. It's kind of embarrassing to show that, but.
Hey, we got the best of the best working for us. Like we said, that's an ex-employee.
Now there's several things wrong there. Yeah, brand new truck, yes, indeed. 4-wheel drive. When you are felling a tree, you want to try to stay, 2 times the tree height away. That was a 75-foot tall pine. He had his truck parked 40 feet from the stump. That was bad. And there's a 230 kV transmission line up there. You caught the top of that. Thankfully, that the tree was being removed so they had a dead top in it. And the top came across the transmission line and broke out, thankfully. But that could have easily been a fatality.
They had a rope in it. You can see the rope hanging in front of a good pickup there. But it didn't do much good, did it? That's a sad day.
So you guys don't have to worry. These guys aren't employed by us anymore, so we don't think that happened. Had another video, but I don't think that's going to work, so we'll skip that video. It's all right. You can find these videos on YouTube, actually. They're good videos, yeah. Or the Husqvarna website has really good, useful videos for that. You want to talk about living across country?
Living across country. Increase the risk of kickback. Always keep the tree between you and the saw if you can. Okay? As you're living up. And as you're cross cutting or whatever. Always look for, I will jump to the bottom and say, consider the tension. How many here works for a fire company? Everybody? Okay. You run into tension and compression wood all the time, do you not? That is something that can take your life in the blink of an eye. One bang cut. Okay? So you have to look at your tension. As the tree's laying on the ground, across the line or whatever, look at all your tension points. Don't go in there and fall through the wall, just bam, start cutting. Don't work that way. Okay? Always do the job, assess the job, and do what you've assessed. Okay? Start at the base. Don't go to the end. Don't tell your partner, hey, you go start at that end, I'm going to start at this end. That ain't going to work. Okay? The tree could roll. If we cut the wrong thing off, it could roll. It could possibly kill somebody. Okay? Take your time and work what? Methodically, right? That don't mean hurry up. We want the power back on. We want the tree down and done it right. But we want everybody to want that safely too. Position tree between yourself and the saw, as we said, whenever possible. Can you always cut with the tree between you and the saw? No. You will have to get near you. What do? Make sure you got a firm foot. Okay? Make sure your thumbs and hands is wrapped around that saw permanently. Use your chain breaker when you walk. More than a step, I always tell people to use the chain breaker. Okay? And there's a certain way to use your chain breaker. You got it, Frank? Yeah. Frank, what do we see most people doing?
You ever seen anybody put their chain brake on like that? Think that's a good idea?
One slip, you go into it. You're going straight to the chain, okay? Frank wants the proper one.
Use your wrist.
The roll your wrist.
Use your wrist.
It's very simple. Okay? All this stuff here is, I'm sure everybody's heard it before. Okay? But really, we do care. As we train these classes and all, we do care about each and every person sitting there. We do care if you do know the correct way. A lot of times, we may be able to help when somebody else can't because we run saws every day. That's our industry. That's what we do. Working with power lines, a gallon of gas may run how long? How long will a gallon of gas last you on the truck? A month, 2 months? We go through 20 and 30 gallons a day. You know? That's what we do. Okay? Here's your pressure on the top. So on the top of that, we can automatically say that's compression. The bottom is your tension. Okay? We can look at the bottom and we can go, okay, we can cut that. Ain't gonna pinch my saw. I've seen people get them stuck because they try to cut it from the bottom. Then the wood falls. Tension and compression. It's very simple. We'll go over that when we go outside. You got that? You want me to go? Go ahead. This one here is something Frank threw in that we did not do at the other co-ops, okay? Your breaking point, when you walk up on one and a power line's got it down, another tree's got it down, you have to cut it to clear it. When you look, stand back and look at it, you can see the breaking point. You can see the main pressure point, okay? And what's it say? Cut should be made at the tree's breaking point. Are you going to walk up to this and just stick a saw on the top and cut it? What would you do? Huh?
Trying to get away breaking point with chain a little bit.
You try to release some of it, wouldn't
Release
you?
that.
How would you do that?
Mark it a little bit, like above the tree.
On the top?
At the top.
On the top of it? Or on the bottom? Compression or tension side?
No, I above the tree, but.
You go back to the butt. You can take a saw.
It depends. It depends on, it all depends.
Yeah.
There's a lot of depends in the tree.
That's right. You can take a saw and you can actually go to that breaking point and you can start scoring underneath on your compression side. You can start scoring and it will relax the tension off of it, okay? You can take a chainsaw, hand saw, do the same thing. If you was to hit it on top, it could explode, barber chair, possibly take your head off, okay?
It works.
Pine trees are bad.
It works.
That's why the bottom picture's always showing you where you want to be. You want to stand inside of that bend because when you're on the outside, if you make a bad cut and it comes loose, you can be in some serious trouble.
And as your trees and limbs under tension, you know, they're pretty much cut. I ain't got to go through all of it. You can look at it, you can tell.
That's an alternative to scoring it. You could do a V cut on the bottom and then start your cut on the top, slowly release that pressure through that.
Now this is curve cut. We have done this. It's fairly well simple. You get up under it, you start taking slices out of it. Not real deep, just light slices out of it, and it will relax the pressure off of it. Okay? There's the scoring under the bottom on your compression side. You score them close together. Before it's long, you keep scoring, you're going to have big V's there, right? That way you take the top off.
Anybody got any questions on that? Releasing the tension? That's maybe stuff that you all are going to run into more often, right? Limbing and cutting up wood and tension wood. Chainsaw maintenance. Love to play this video for you, but have some technical difficulty right now. It's not your fault.
I guess it is.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
We could fucking Set? Oh, sorry, anybody got a weak stomach? Sorry. A little trigger happy there. A little trigger happy. I always like to show these at the end of the video. Just to reiterate the dangers of the chainsaw. You know, chainsaw doesn't cut like a knife, right? Doesn't give you a nice clean cut. It kind of rips. So you can't usually, saw that up or sew it up. You gotta pack it, let the wound kind of heal on its own. Respect your chainsaw. We're gonna do a little demonstration outside. I hope most of you guys come out there. It's nice out. It's 4:30 on a Thursday afternoon. We all probably don't want to be in here, so we're gonna go outside and Lonnie's gonna do a little demonstration on how to cut some stuff.